just hit live. Welcome. I appreciate you for joining the live studio audience, taping, filming, whatever you want to call this. I just got the notification that this is going live on the interwebs, everyone. So, as always, thank you for joining because this is a lot of fun for me, a dream come true. But most importantly, this is value added business information you're going to be able to implement today. And that's why I'm excited for today's guest. And I'm going to bring him up once I realize I have to start the show. Even though it started when you're live streaming, I have to do the little clapboard thing, if you will. So, have you ever wanted to grow your business? Have you ever wanted to get actual results? I'm not just talking about some shiny object, tinker thing, or plugin, WordPress, whatever, who have you. I'm talking actual results for your business. I know you have. That's why you're watching this. I know you have. That's why you're listening to this. And I'm excited to bring up Myra Jones. Now, there's a lot of people that talk about business. There's a lot of people that may have a business or do a business, however you do a business. But let me tell you about Myra. He didn't just grow up with businesses and helping anyone under the sun. What if I could bring to you, and a strong what if, because it's going to happen, what if I could bring to you the man who started ESPN's first radio station, Radio Disney, ABC? I'm sure you've heard of some of these companies before, and this is who his background is. This is who he's worked with. These are the type of companies he's grown. And the exciting thing is, he's now going to be sharing those strategies with you and how you can grow your business like he does with his business now and helps you get actual results that are tangible. I'm excited to bring him up right after we thank our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Myra Jones. Myra, how are you doing today?
Mario, this is so great to be with you. Finally, this is excellent.
I
How
can't.
are you, my friend?
I'm feeling great. I can't wait to let you loose in front of Expert Authority World and just share with them because I know what you're doing. You know, you've been telling me for years, but why don't we just get right into it? And how did you make the transition? What inspired you to start your company?
Because I saw businesses in pain. I've been a media guy. If someone in the audience knows me, they know me most likely as a media guy, a television, and most importantly, a radio guy. I'd been in the radio business right out of college. I walked across the stage on a Friday to get my diploma in college. Right after Labor Day weekend, and that Tuesday, I started in radio and had been in it ever since. And so, all those years, I saw businesses that would advertise on my radio stations in pain. They had issues. They didn't have enough customers, clients, or patients, or whatever, and we were fortunate to grow our careers to some of the top echelons of the industry. And then I found that, the big companies, they were appreciative of what we did, but there were no big thank yous. They just wrote a check. They just assumed you would move product for them. And things changed. What happened was the internet came and it had a real impact on radio. And I saw that most businesses, including radio, were like deer in the headlights, didn't know what to do. All the rules of marketing and getting new customers changed. And it kept changing. And it kept changing faster and faster. So even if you didn't master one or two little rules, they changed the game on you in a few days. So I saw business opportunity. When you see pain and problems, that's an opportunity. So I started Exponential Marketing. It was a division of All American Management Group, my management company, and it just took off because no matter where I looked, I saw a business that didn't know how to play the game today. And we took those concepts that we were using with ABC, Disney, ESPN, other Fortune 100 companies. where we were really dominating, and asked, well, what if I could make it accessible to smaller businesses? And that's how we got started.
That is phenomenal. So, who would you say you help and how do you help them?
Well, we can help any kind of business and all kinds of local businesses. We specialize in local businesses, but we have all kinds of businesses come to us. But we really focus on businesses that are in the medical field, healthcare professionals, contractors who service the retail marketplace, lawyers, um, wellness centers. So we're very heavy in the healthcare industry, medical field, lawyers, um, speakers. Even we have several experts who have gone to the top of their game, and now they're looking for a new blue ocean strategy, and they want to be considered that expert in their field, and they start speaking, and they really want to have a national brand, and we help them with that as well.
That is phenomenal. Tell me more about the blue ocean strategy. I'm familiar with it, but I know there's probably at least one person who might be going, "What do you mean by that?" So, why don't we elaborate on that for them?
Well, it was a great book called the Blue Ocean Strategy, and I highly recommend that book. It's foundational to what we do and how we think. And so there are two oceans in the book it talks about, and two oceans in reality. There's the red ocean, and that's where there's a lot of blood in the water, right? There's a lot of competition. There's a zero sum game. You have to reduce someone else's share of the market for you to grow. And you're all trying to crawl up that same hill to be at the top of the hill. In short, what the Blue Ocean Strategy teaches is a different concept. And that concept is make sure you create your own hill. And when you do that, it's like a blue ocean where you're the only one there. It's as large as the ocean. And it's really how you position yourself to have a unique proposition to the marketplace, solving a major problem that only you can solve as well as it can be solved.
I love that. I mean the whole strategy and everything, but you elaborated on it very succinctly, and that's one of the best descriptions I've heard of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I wouldn't even have said it that good. I would have been like, one's better, one's worse. You want the blue one. I mean,
Well,
honestly,
what we try to do, and what I've been doing for years, is making complex concepts easy to understand. Um, D. Edward Deming, who some may not know, but he really changed the world's economy. After World War II, he was we had basically decimated an entire country called Japan. I mean, completely decimated it. It needed to be rebuilt. So what the United States did at that time was decided we're going to send one of our top business consultants to the country to teach them how to modernize and join the democrat the democratic concept of capitalism. And we need to teach them how to do this at a rapid pace. Well, by the early 70s, just about everything was built in Japan. Was because of uh, Edward Deming that caused that to happen. And one of the principles he taught was focused on what we do, and he had 10 principles. He followed them, and one of the things he said was that if you cannot explain your success as a process, you don't know what you're doing. And that is so true. There are so many people out there, even businesses, people that try to do what you do, Mario. And they're doing it, but they can't really explain how to make it successful like you do. How to make uh, how to make their podcast or their video cast look as good as yours. Now, I started in the radio and TV business. I worked, matter of fact, I worked with Oprah Winfrey when you had to use her last name. Our careers started off together in Baltimore, Maryland. So I could name drop forever. I've worked with just about everybody. And um, one of the things that I learned, there was a great divide between the people that were successful by accident, by serendipity, and the people that knew how to replicate that success over and over, almost at will. And I was fortunate to be around some really good people and develop my skills. So by the time I joined ABC, I had quickly become their turnaround manager. So I was a president and general manager with ABC, but not just one of them. They gave me all their worst properties. I never got a property that was profitable or was growing. They always gave me the worst properties. And one time the president of the company said, "Okay, I want you to take over this one. You've already, turned around some others." And I was upset. I was like, "How come you don't give me the top ones that all the other managers get?" And he said, "He changed my mindset about me." He said, "Because I know you can turn it around." And I didn't look at it like that. I thought it was like he was saying something like, "Well, you're not good enough." He was saying the exact opposite.
You're the
And
best.
that station turned out to be one of the most successful stations in the country. And that turnaround after turnaround after turnaround, those are some same skills I try to give to my clients that I've learned along the way. And Michael Eisner said, "You know what? Because you did what you've done for the company, I'm going to give you a nice toy, ESPN." And ESPN had been already successful. We were number one TV and number one online and ESPN the magazine. This was during the heyday of ESPN. But we didn't have a 24/7 radio network. And most people thought that, well, ESPN, you can't do sports nationally in audio. That doesn't work. And because no one believed in it, that was my calling card. And we turned it into over almost 400 stations in just a few years. So, but there are many more of those types of successes that really got me into wanting to pour into a business owner right now who's watching your show and is underwhelmed with their EBITDA. It's underwhelmed with their revenue. Um, and they're blaming the competition, their employees, or this or that. And quite frankly, there's some easy solutions that are easy to do. They're just too much easier not to do them.
That's a very good way of saying it. Absolutely. Why do work when you don't have to? Well, because it's beneficial and it's actually kind of fun when you enjoy it and you know what you're doing. So let me ask you about your clients. Who's the biggest success story you've had? So you've turned around all these big companies. Who's the biggest success story from one of your clients that you've been able to turn around?
Oh, well, let me
That's
give you a
not in the
typical one.
that's not in the fortune list because you
Sure, I
mentioned
understand.
three,
Let me,
four, or
let me
five
give
of
you a
those.
typical one because this is what we specialize in. I
Excellent.
had a dentist who had been in business for about 11 years, and he was a good dentist, and he had a decent reputation in the market. And he says, I could never get him to call me Zamira. And he was always Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones. So he says, "Mr. Jones, uh, I'm not high enough on Google, and I just want to get higher up because all the other dentists in the area where I'm operating, they're not high enough. Can you get me higher? I want to show up on my phone." That was all he asked for. What he was really saying is, I want more people to consider me versus the competition. And if you've ever driven down the street, you know how competitive the dental industry is. There's a dentist on every corner. So he had a problem. We put our strategy together. Um, the first thing was it took him 11 years. And if your audience doesn't get anything other than this out of this session, this is the gold. And it won't be revolutionary, but it's focusing your thinking. He took 11 years to get 126 reviews online, and he was in the pack. In 6 months, we had doubled it. He had 200 over 260 five-star reviews. We made him look like a rock star because he deserved it. And we made him number one in the city for dentist. So if you put his city and dentist, he was number one. Now he's crushing it. Now he's getting calls every day, new customers every day from our marketing campaigns. So this average dentist is getting 60, 70 new leads a month. Now, if you just talk to any new dentist, and that's just coming from one of our campaigns, that's not counting anything that he's doing on his own. That's just coming from us, because what we do, so that someone can say, well, I'm not sure it's working, we create a special separate phone number on all of our ads and all of our marketing. So the only way that customer came to them was from that number. So we know exactly who called, when they called, how long they talked to them, and we know that we have completely transformed their business. And this is something that we do over and over and over on just about any local business that is advertising dependent.
That is a great story because I'm thinking of some of my clients when we were helping them with reputation management, and they just, they already are the rock stars. They just don't know the tactics and the strategies on how to do it. But the reality is, that's what needs to be showcased because have you ever seen where there's a company that's not as good? This is a real, I despise this, like, truthfully. Have you ever seen a company that's not as good? You know they're not. The owner's a moron. But you look up online, you look at the website, you look at everything that you basically can create out of thin air, and they look awesome. Have you ever seen that?
Yes,
Now, how does it make you feel when you know you have clients and they're not appearing that way?
I see it every day. I see it all the time. I just have a new plumber who's a master plumber. He's very good, and he's struggling. He's suffering. He didn't really know what to do. And the issue is, if you're not one of the big boys in the industry, you're going to get washed out. The reason why we called our business exponential marketing is really about the math of what our message is. Let me say it this way. Everyone who's listening, I want to ask you a question. If I came to you and I was going to give you a choice, I can give you $3 million right now just for being part of Mario's audience, or I can give you a penny. This is called the penny giblet story. If you haven't heard it, it makes you think about it. So, but that penny is a magic penny. That penny doubles in value every day, up to 31 days. So if I said it'll double every day, or I give you $3 million today, which one would you take? And most people say, give me the 3 million, because in 5 days, they only got a few dollars. They've got what, $5 or something. In 20 days, they've got $5,000. And they're looking at 5,000 versus the option of 3 million. But in 31 days, that doubling, that exponential growth, 10,700,747,000. That's what happens when you line up everything and doubling your efforts. And so what we do is take one thing at a time. That's what we did with that dentist. Built their reputation, and then we marketed the reputation, which is the exact opposite of what just about every business who's sitting here with us in this meeting, Mario, does. They start, what do? Get their shingle, they open their doors, they tell their friends, they open a website, I got to do social media. They start doing social media. I got to start posting and all of that. They start doing all that stuff. They get in business for a year or two, and then one of their customers throws them under the bus online. Then another one does. Or they don't have any reviews at all, and their competition is killing them because they've got 100 reviews, and this company only has 12. So what was the problem? The problem was they didn't understand the whole reason why they became a plumber or a dentist or a speaker or whatever business they're in is because of their reputation. They work for a company, they built a good reputation, and somebody said, you know what, you could do this yourself. They told themselves that. And then they said, yeah, I could do this. And so they go into business because their reputation told them they could do it. And then they forgot the lesson that started them off. What you want to do is market your reputation. It's the most powerful single thing you can do. It's even more important now because they changed the game on us. We're in a brand new economy now. Everything has changed. It's called the collaborative consumption economy. That's the, hey, look, Mario and I were talking about this. There's a reason why Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the world. Is because he understood the economy he's in. And his whole business plan was based on reputation. Every product had 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 stars. And he started off that way. Airbnb, reputation. Uber, reputation. All these new businesses that grow faster than historical documentation, they all understood the collaborative consumption economy and how to market in it. And that's
And
kind of how we start them, and then we take them to the next level.
and the exponential growth too, because people are talking about him now, and Amazon's been around for a minute or two, but if you trace back to the origins of it, it wasn't overnight to get where he was. He was also aiming on that day 31, day 32, day 33 of your analogy, where most people, they want the quick hit now, or maybe in business in the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You aim 5, 10, 20, 30 down the road. Life is long, life is
That's right.
life ain't a track meet, it's a marathon. What are you planning for? It better be more than next week, next month, or next quarter, next year. That is so cool. I'm glad you shared that. And obviously, I know it's working for your clients. So let me ask you about video. How has video helped your business?
Well, video is a cornerstone of what we do. We use video with our clients because that game that we talked about has changed. They have new rules, and video it's the kingpin. Online, we have a hierarchy. We have 3 types of content. You can write it in text, you can take a picture of it, or you can take moving pictures called video. Those are the 3 buckets we can operate in on the internet. And Google and their compadres, they have a priority because they figured it out. They know, and they operate totally under self-interest. They know that people spend more time with video because we're lazy and we don't want to read. We'll watch a picture a little longer. And so they noticed the behavior and said, hey, because I can take the same review that 99.9% of all reviews are text. And so one of the things we do is we just take that text review and we just make it a video. We just make it an image. And because we are operating higher on the digital food chain of information, we just win. So when you do all those kinds of things, you get what you and I call Google love, right? Google say, oh, these guys are playing by our rules. Let's give them some love. We'll just kick the other guys to the curb. And if you're not getting Google love, you're one of those guys that are worrying about making it to the end of the month.
Well, you touched on it earlier, and I want to circle back to it because I know what you're talking about. But elaborate for the expert authority world when you referenced the pack.
Are you talking about the 3-pack?
Yes, for Google.
In order to get into the 3-pack, you have to, that's really the home of Google love. Once Google has recognized that you're playing by their rules, they'll move you up in the rankings. They'll move you from, page 7 or 3 or 2 and put you on page 1. And then from page 1, if you're really in love with Google's rules, you get kissed with the 3 pack. You know, when you go there and just below the ads, and you have these three up to three businesses that Google selects to showcase, that's what that is.
Well,
This is why you want that Google of.
I appreciate you elaborating on that for expert authority world. My friend Tim jokes about. He goes, "Where's the best place to hide a body? Second page of Google," because people don't realize they specificity is key, and a lot of people say, "I want to be on Google." Well, where? You can be on Google. Pretty much everyone is, unless you're doing something horribly wrong. But it's not just page 2 or 3, or even page 1. And when you said the pack, I wanted to make sure everyone knew how important it was, because you can still be on page 1 of Google, but if you're at the 10th spot, ninth or 8th, it's not as good as the 1, 2, or 3 spot.
Yes, and we have unique strategies to get our clients in the 3 pack and on page 1. And we have something else that has become even more powerful for a lot of businesses. Unfortunately, the only ones or the main ones that take advantage of it now are the big companies, the Fortune 1000s. It's historically expensive. You really have to know what you're doing. You have to have all the resources. And most small businesses don't know how to do it, don't know to do it. If they do know those first two, they can't afford to do it. And it's become the 800-pound gorilla. So 60 over 60% of all the revenue that Google amasses comes from search. But there is something that has passed the search category a couple of years ago, 2016. There was a sonic boom on the internet in the advertising world. Now, I'm a radio television guy who migrated to the digital space. Um, and one of the things that happened was search was king, and paid search was the king of all kings. So if you really wanted to make sure that you were in a competitive situation, you had to pay your way in. I mean, that's their business model, right? So pay-per-click was the key. Pay-per-click has been supplanted by display. Display now is the 800-pound gorilla on the internet for the big advertisers. Well, you know that. You can't go online without seeing display ads. Now, if you put me under sodium pentothal, we used to talk about display ads and run them down in 2008, 9, 10. So that's not going to last, right? People, banner ads, oh yeah, they're going to get tired of that. Well, this year, they're projected to do 46 billion in revenue, outdoing television. So they're bigger than broadcast TV today, all of TV. That's just, and because they're effective. So one of the things we did, unlike a lot of the other agencies out there that would go to Google and buy ads for their clients retail, we just got our own DSP, our own demand side platform. So we're going to those exchanges wholesale.
That
And it's great because we have connected with the networks that are all over the world.
that is fantastic. It's so powerful that you're doing that and even know how to do that. And that speaks to your background, because a lot of people, I give them credit because they're trying, and we all started at one point, but it gets frustrating when it's like you try one thing, it doesn't work. You try another thing, it doesn't work. You try another thing, it doesn't work. And it's always attached to some investment of money. And then at some point, it's like, do you keep going or not? I would say always keep going no matter what. But some people don't, and that's why most businesses fails. But you're giving them the actual strategies to do this, and not just helping them, but giving them the strategies, doing it for them, and helping them, because that's like a hook, line, and sinker. So I can't wait to get to the second half of the show after we thank the sponsor, but I got to throw in there a little bit. I just love how you threw in the if you gave me some truth serum, sodium pentothal. That's awesome. I caught that. But you're honest all the time, and I've noticed that about you since we met. So thank you for being you. We're going to thank our sponsor, and we're going to come back for the imperfect action round. Here he is again, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Myra Jones. We're back for the imperfect action rounds. Myra, are you ready to take imperfect action?
I'm ready.
First question, rapid response, 60 seconds or less. What is the fastest path to the cash in your experience?
Fastest path to the cash is getting people to give you a review, talk about your reputation, what you did for them, and then share it with the world. It is more powerful than any single advertising medium known to man. Then you use all the other forms of media to tell their story. Let them tell your story. You don't tell your story. You let your customers, clients, and patients tell your story. It's much more believable, and your conversion rates will go through the moon.
I love that. Number two, what is the biggest problem you see your prospects making, and how can they fix it?
Not understanding the domino effect. The domino effect, you know how we've all played dominoes, right? You line the dominoes up, and that's where the fun is. But it's all math. Once you hit that first domino and it hits the second and the third, haven't you noticed when that last domino hits, it slaps the table with reckless abandon? Boom. That's because all that energy of all the other dominoes were lined up. That's how you think as a successful business owner. Everything leads into something else. You plan it that way. So if you build it that way, you have tremendous success and you grow exponentially. What I see people do is, let me try a little of this over here and a little of this over there. And, you know, what our friend Pam would always say, and I stole it from her and used it, random acts of marketing. That is one of the biggest errors that I see. There's no strategic strategy that's where you line up all the elements and everything is related to everything else. It's just, let me try this. Oh, that didn't work. Let me try that. That didn't work. That is a destination to nowhere.
I love that. It's making me think of some of the things I've done when you're launching a book or a show or whatever. Do you have a launch sequence, or are you just whatever's going on, and then launch day you let everyone know? No, don't do that. Just for anyone listening, don't do that. But I love that. Number three, what is the best way to maximize customer lifetime value?
The best way to maximize customer lifetime value is to keep your customer for a lifetime. And the only way you do that is by flying ahead of the plane. That's what I call it. That means anticipating your client's pains. They're going to tell you their first pain, what they think their issues are. You want to keep them? Fly ahead of the plane for them. A great pilot does not pay attention to where they are. They're paying attention to 100 miles ahead of them. And so a great marketer, a great business consultant, they're always anticipating the next pain point of their client. You do that, and you make sure that they recognize that that pain is on the way and you have the solution, they don't leave you.
Love that. Love that. What is the best book you could recommend?
Well, I think I started off with it. There's so many of them. I mean, if you panned my office here, this is like a library. I turned into an office. Uh, but I want to stick with where I started. There's so many. Um, Blue Ocean Strategy. I got to tell you, start there because that's going to give you a foundation of what's possible, where you're unique, and give you examples of how other companies and products have used this strategy, some of which I'm sure you've consumed and you just didn't know why you fell in love with it. Then you'll know.
That's a great recommendation. It's a great book. Expert Authority World, how would you like a bonus? Because I talked to Zamira before the show, and he has a bonus for you. So, Zamira, why don't you tell Expert Authority World about the generous gift you're going to give them?
If you want Google love, one of the things you want to do is you want to play by Google's rules because all the other search engines play by Google's rules as well. So then you'll be playing by the entire internet's rules just by paying attention to Google. And one of the most important things is operating with Google's self-interest. Google wants more people to spend more time on the internet. And what they found was the single most powerful element that makes people spend more time with them is the video. And more businesses are suffering from video anemia. They don't have enough video. And they think because they put that one little video out there on YouTube that it's going to do something magical. What they need is more video, and they need a certain spectrum of videos. And one of the ones they don't typically have is a high converting video that's solely designed to get someone to say, "Oh, tell me more. Oh, I think I need this. Oh, I think I need to talk to them." And because it's such an epidemic, I'm going to give away an $800 to $1,000 production of a very specialized video that we've spent thousands of hours and hundreds of thousands to test. It's a very specific formula that will give you higher conversions. And if you click on the URL that I gave Mario, we will produce that. Now, make sure we can't do it for everyone, so you want to definitely get on the list. If you see that we are booked up, then put on the waiting list because we will bring it back because we know it's Mario. So this will give you the kind of specialized video that you can put on your website. Over half of the businesses that are part of this video today, Mario, don't have video on their homepage. That is a sin to Google. As soon as they see that, they kick you to the back of the line and you don't even know why. Just because you didn't have one on your homepage. You can put it on your homepage. You don't have to reorganize it. We'll just give you a widget and it'll just pop up and then tell your story. It's the story that is the magic. And then it'll direct them where you tell us where you want us to direct your traffic, and it'll do the magic for you. So I'm going to make that available to anyone that's part of the Mario clan, and I'd be glad to do it. And this is a free offer for your viewers.
Well, I appreciate that, Myra. That's very generous. Outside of that, I know people are going to want to connect with you. What's the best way they can do that?
Oh, they can just send me an email. You can use an easy one, is zamirajones@gmail. And if you have any questions at all, if you want to know about the upcoming webinar that I'm about to launch, that will show you how you can go and get new reviews and 5-star reviews from all those customers. And I'll wrap up with this. I just talked to a business owner, and I asked him, "How many customers do you see in a year?" He said, "Oh, I have about 250 new clients in a year." And I asked another one. He said 1,200 in a year. And each of them, when I went online and looked at how many reviews they had, each of them had less than 6 reviews total.
I was going to say
So
less than 50, but wow,
I said,
6.
what would happen? They may have had some other reviews elsewhere, but they only had 6 on Google. One had 5 and one had 6. I said, what percentage of those 250 were happy with you? And he said, well, about 90% of them. I said, imagine if even 20% of those people that were happy with you, I could see them talking about you. You wouldn't have lost that last contract that you bid for, would you? And he said, no, I wouldn't lose anything if they saw what I was doing. That's what we're offering. That's what's the magic of the new collaborative consumption economy.
That is powerful. Myra, thank you so much for sharing with us. It has been amazing. I'm glad you were able to go into detail, not just say, hey, you should be doing this, because everyone hears, oh, I need to be on Google, I need a website, I need video, I need a book, I need whatever, pick something. I hear it, but you explained it in a way that people I know are taking to heart, and that's the key. Once you realize the importance, you just shift and create a habit of it, and now the next 10 years, you can build in taking reviews as part of your daily process instead of, well, I don't have time for that. You don't not have time for it. What else could you be doing that's more powerful? So thank you for going into detail on how to do that.
And yes, I just one thing about that, you raised an excellent point. It's so hard and so much time, but in my webinar, I'm going to teach everyone that's there, how to get all those reviews with no effort, just by mastering one phrase. And I'll teach them what that phrase is that will have people sending them reviews with no effort at all after you say the magic words.
I love that. I love that. So thank you again for sharing, and I'll make sure those links are in the show notes page on eainterviews.com. Zamira, it's been a pleasure. Thank you again.
It's been a business doing pleasure with you.
Love it. All right, Expert Authority World, we have another great show here. I'll see you on the next one, and God bless.